Hi everyone, this is Jamela, back again with another episode of Living the Lifestyle of the Thrift and Famous. But before we jump into the garden, how about you go ahead and click that subscribe button so you'll get all my videos and join the Thrift Squad. Now in my last video I said I'll share what I have growing in my yard. And before you enter my house, there is a little knight that I have standing there to represent my Game of Thrones, and also a little miniature trash can that I have because my husband is a smoker, so I need a little can out there. Instead of him flicking those butts into the yard, there's a little trash can there that he can dump them in, or if anybody had any trash and they want to trash it before they come into the house. Now here is one of my iris beds. I have several of these around the yard because iris do multiply. And in the beginning, I was given some by my neighbor. She shared some of hers with me, and then I also bought some. But however, I've moved these several times because they just keep filling in the beds. Back here is some hostas that I have growing. They are coming back now. Everything is starting to bloom up. And also I planted it's a ground cover, and it's growing everywhere. The sedum, those plants are absolutely wonderful to have. And literally, you could plant one and they'll come back every year. They get fuller and fuller. So I actually move these around and dig up some and plant elsewhere to fill in some spaces. My rose bush over here is starting to bloom up. And then also, as you see, more iris in that ground cover that I have. I honestly don't remember the name, but it's taking over the entire space there. And in the back, you'll see, well, the front rather, you see a big gardenia bush, and when that blooms, the whole area smells so perfumey. The birds are steady chuckling in the background, so that's going to be my nature music that you hear playing. But anyway, so yeah, this whole area was very, very bleak. I was starting to plant some stuff back there, but then once I got that ground cover in there, it started taking over everything. So I'm just going to kind of clean all of this out. So my yard is not what you call the perfect yard, but it is coming along. Next, you see this cactus. Now this plant, I was given one piece and it took over again. And this little bush that I have, I think it's called an Indian something bush or whatever. But anyway, it was a little one and I planted it just to see what it would do. And it took over. And this tree here, that was planted by Mother Nature, and I was wondering what it was, and it grew into a nice shade tree for my driveway. Now this plant is called Solomon Seal, and this was a little piece that was given to me by my aunt who is deceased, and I'm so glad she gave me a piece of this. And it just, again, it multiplied and took over the whole space here. But I love it because it comes back faithfully every year, and it multiplied. So yeah, if you're like me, you want more plants that will multiply and bloom every year. I don't like putting in flowers every year going into the ground all the time. So plant bulbs and perennials. And again, this is more of the sedum. Now this sedum, I bought 2 plants, but they're everywhere. And this plant here is another one gifted to me by my neighbor. As a matter of fact, she planted it in the ground for me. And I actually love this because it multiplies and it comes back every year and it gets taller and taller. She has them growing all around her yard. As a matter of fact, I'm actually going to do a video for her yard too. But this is a really nice plant. And then, of course, the iris is in the background because they've moved everywhere. And this particular plant, when it was given to me by another friend in town, she said, "You don't want that." But I said, "No, I do." And she was right. Oh my God, this plant, it just sticks me and it pokes me and it brings blood. But I like the way it looks. However, it will take over. In another bed, this is the Solomon Seal again. And I actually move this all around. I dig some up every year and just put it where I need fillers. So this plant moves around with me. As you know, I just take it everywhere. And then of course the cannas, those are very good. They multiply as well. My mother had them growing all over her yard, so I scooped some of hers up and then they just multiply. And also you'll see sedum planted in several of the planters I have around because it just comes back and it just gets fuller and fuller. As you see, I put some of that Solomon Seal in this little planter and it's starting to bloom again. Here's some again in another concrete planter that I had, and I just stick it in there and it just does so well. It's so funny. My sister said the one that I give her, it grows better than the ones that she bought from at Lowe's. Here the cannas and the forsythia is starting to bloom, so I'm happy about that, and it's coming back so well. So if you're new and you want to start your garden, just start little beds and then watch it grow. This is how my yard used to look when we first moved, and this is it now. This is the same angle that you were looking at. So see how it grew? I've lost quite a few through trial and error. I won't tell you how many calla lilies I've planted and they will not come back, so I just stopped planting those. But take your time and grow what you like. And I did plant some amaryllis, and those are doing well, so they're coming back, and I'm thrilled about that. Actually, I need to move some because the iris, as you see, is taking over the amaryllis again. So everywhere I plant iris, it takes over. So be careful when you're planting that. And you see the ground cover is still coming back through. That is all over my yard, and I literally only planted like maybe 2 of those plants, and it's everywhere. Now you hear me talk about how my neighbor has gifted me some plants, and I've gifted to her as well. So we do a lot of little plant swapping in my area. So that's a wonderful thing to do, and you can also share your plants with your friends and family to grow your garden. I hope you enjoyed the little tour of my garden. If so, drop me a comment and don't forget to like and share this video. I'll see you again, and thanks again for tuning in for another episode.